I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. Get to this in a minute. Tea today is Scottish breakfast, Brodies Scottish breakfast. This is actually the strongest tea I have ever drunk. Until I drank this tea, I did not get the whole let's dilute everything with sugar and milk thing. And then the first time I took a sip of this, I thought, oh my goodness, quick, what can I put into it to make it so that I am not going to feel like my face is being peeled off? No, I'm just kidding. It's just got a very strong tea flavor. And this is a reheated mug, so not too hot to drink this time. Appreciate all of y'all sticking with me on through videos in which I burn my mouth in the first few seconds. We've played a few things, and I'm going to start off with Fossilis, but we kind of got a little bit of an apocalyptic theme going here, though I didn't intend it that way. I realized that Fossilis, dinosaurs went extinct, and then we did the doomsday scenario of Welcome To, which turned out to be really interesting. And I am wearing my Dino Apocalypse shirt here, which says tomorrow will probably be better. Dinosaur standing in a smoking crater. Yeah, gotta love that optimism. So we got Fossilis. And I will put a link on how to play down below. This game, it went on and off my wish list for a while because the first time I saw it, actually the first time I saw it may have been Dwayne and Alicia's video on Blackboard Gaming. I'll see if I can find a link for that to put in the description down below too. Then, I don't know, it kind of went on and off my list because I thought, oh, this looks like so much fun. And then I kind of thought, but oh, kind of a kiddie game. I mean, that's why I thought it looked like so much fun, because the first thing I thought when I saw this was, oh man, when I was a kid, I would have loved this. So, yeah, I kind of dithered about back and forth about whether or not to get it, and I got it, and it's not a kiddie game. This is a game that falls solidly into the family game thing. I would say it's probably just a little bit more complex than some of the other games I've characterized as family games on here, but not too complex. And I really think this is just wonderful, but I do have a parental warning here. Let me see if I can find some place to put this where it is not in my face, unlike the previous video in which I kind of had the box in my face for half the video. And again, thank you for bearing with me. And that's kind of wonky, but, well, okay. So here's my parental warning. I would say this is not for small children. You should pay attention to the age range on the box in this case. A lot of times the age range on the box looks like, well, you know, it's got some small pieces, and so you wouldn't want it like a choking hazard for kids and everything. But these dinosaur bones are just adorable. I mean, and they are so amazing. Okay, let's see what we got here. We got a little femur. Let me see if I can do this without knocking my mug of tea over. And we've got, oh, there's also a little axe in here, which you can do to get special things. And a dinosaur skull, yeah. And rib bones. See, these are very, very tiny pieces. And there's a hip bone. There's a couple of hip bones in here somewhere. Oh, yes, and a tooth, like a megalodon shark toothy thing. Drop the tooth. And here's a hip bone. I didn't know what this was at first. It's like, oh man, anatomy lesson here. Okay, if you got kids, this is obviously a choking hazard for the real little ones. So this is not aimed toward them. But I would add a couple of things here. If you've got children that like putting interesting things into their nose and ears, this could be a problem because these are very interesting pieces. So you might want to monitor them with this. Also, if you have children that are highly creative and imaginative, or maybe not even highly, just creative and imaginative, you're going to want to inventory the bones before every game, because I'm just looking at this and these little pieces, I'm just thinking that kids are going to want to take these out of the game. They're going to like squirrel them away from the game, and you know, you're going to end up, you know, the rib bone is going to end up, because I would have totally done this. I would have taken the rib bone and it would have ended up on the table in my troll house, you know? And if you've got kids who play with Barbies, yes, you're going to go into their room one of these days, and now Barbie's an archaeologist and she's going to be holding a dino skull. So, yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm going like, right, when I was a kid, I totally would have taken these bones and buried them in the backyard and then dug them up and buried them and dug them up, and I might not have found them all. So that is your parental warning, because I'm just looking at this, because I mean, I'm an adult and I can hardly resist taking some of these bones and putting them into my not so little Lego tableau, which is an outdoorsy kind of scene. So it's like, they do have extras of all of the different, not all of the different bones, but some of the different bones. When I did the inventory, there are extras of some of them. But even so, the game is dependent upon you being able to have a certain distribution, because there isn't the same number of all of these different bones in here. A certain distribution and availability of these randomly scattered over the dig site, and you need to be able to get them to put on cards to make your dinosaurs. So, yeah, if you've got kids that play with other toys besides board games, these things could go missing. That's my fear of this in terms of kids. But otherwise, this would be a great game for kids and a great game for adults. And I should tell you right away that for a lightish to medium sort of game, this has got a bit of setup. But here's the thing. I love setting this up. I mean, when I saw a video that showed setup for this, I just looked at that and I immediately thought setup for this game was going to be fun. But I mean, I'm not everyone. So take everything I say with the usual grain of salt. This is your dig site. And these are little recesses in here. And what you do is you take your dinosaur bones and you sprinkle them randomly all over your dig site here. Actually, it's probably better if I do this like with my hands and just do this here. Don't let them bounce off the table. Just sprinkle some things around here. And then you put the lid on. Dum, da, dum, dum, dum. Yeah. And give it a little bit of a shake to distribute the stuff. Oops. The teeth, I didn't, and this one of the teeth. And then you put the dig site on top of it. There's a scoreboard on the back side, so this doesn't stay in there. You lay the dig site on top of it like this. It fits perfectly well, like nice and snug. And then you start placing your tiles, your dig tiles on top of it. Now, the tiles come in 3 different kinds. There are stone tiles, sand tiles, and clay tiles. Stone, clay, sand. And they have an assortment of different things on them. When you collect these, you can get these things and use them to buy cards, which give you advantages and things like that. Now, on the bottom layer, you have to put the stone on these areas here that look like rock that's got X's on them. So you have to put the stones on there, on those spots. And you can't put stone on stone. But otherwise, you can just lay them out any way you want. And there's going to be multiple layers. There's going to be multiple layers of these things here. So, so then when you've got all of the layers done, I'm going to see if I can, how fast can I do this so that I can show you the nifty way it all comes together here. And again, with the second layer, you can't put stone on stone. So Yeah, so you're going to do the first layer first and then the second layer. And here's the thing, the video that we use to learn how to play this, he lays all of the things out with the blank side up, and the rule book says explicitly you should have this side, the side with the resource, you might say, on it up first, because you're going to want to know what resources those are so that you can make a good decision about getting them. And so you've got a nice stack here. See? It's all laid out here. I don't have an overhead camera. And you put all these things up. The second layer will not be fully covered. You'll want to leave the corner places open, and that's where you put your people. And pro tip here, when you're laying these things out, don't totally box in the corners. I mean, it turns out that you can jump up from one layer to another, but when we first started playing this, we didn't know that. So it's like the first time out, we're looking at this and we're going, wait a minute, am I stuck in the corner? Okay, so here's the nifty part that I like. Oh, one more piece. Here's the nifty part that I like. You got this here, you see? Then I did not use here's the thing. This is your player aid, which tells you what everything costs and what your actions that you can do. Not what things cost, that's on the things. But this is your actions that you can do, and you can spend like 4 actions every turn, I think it is. And so you put it here, and there's even a little slot there for it. And then, I can't do it like this because I need 3 hands. But you slide this out, and they all end up like in a line there. And I don't know. It delighted me. The first time I saw somebody do this on a video, I thought, oh, that is so nifty. So I really enjoyed doing the setup for this. And you can see, I just threw this together pretty quickly. So yeah, setup doesn't actually take a lot of time. And I found setup to be enjoyable. Whoa, knocked some sand off there. I found setup to be an enjoyable process. I mean, that's part of setup, but there isn't a whole lot to it. I mentioned kids and complexity. What did I do with the rule book here? I dumped it all out so that I wouldn't be digging through the box on the camera like I always do, and instead I'm just digging through the debris on the table. Playing with kids. Right there on the very front of the rule book, it has ways that you can modify the game to make it simpler if you're playing with younger kids. So you can essentially kind of rejigger certain things with the games, like do this and not this and leave that out, depending upon the age, but also age is not always a good factor with kids, a good way of judging things. Just like your kid's gaming level. We didn't find this game to be complicated at all, but for younger kids, there could be a little bit too much going on, because it's like you've got to spend plaster in order to get dinosaurs, to put the dinosaurs on the cards, and you have the dinosaur cards. You can only have 1 dinosaur in your lab at a time, but this is the nifty part. You can partially score your dinosaur. Take the points now, mark them on the little scoreboard, and then get another dinosaur that's in the queue there and start building bones on that. So strategically, you don't have to like totally complete a card and then get another card and totally complete a card. You can, you can mix it up, maybe complete a card every now and then, but also if it looks like that you can complete get a couple of incomplete dinosaurs and get more points for that, you might want to do that. And there are tools cards that you can get, and there are cards that will give you stuff like the plaster you need for your dinosaur, or they will give you resources or something like that. And you're spending stuff and you're getting stuff, and I mean, there's a little bit of, action. And it may be a level too much for some kids. But like I said, they've got a whole list of different ways that you can say, okay, we're going to play this game, but we're going to leave this little bit out. And the game still plays well. This game is from Kids Stable Board Gaming. There's their little logo up here. They are the same people who made Creature Comforts. And Maple Valley is the more recent release. So, I mean, they design games that are meant to be played by families and families with children, so they know what they're doing. But, I mean, we love this. We played it, and we had a really good time. And let me tell you, it is really immersive. You know, I mean, you use the little tweezers, and when you move, you have to move the sand tiles using actions to move the sand and the clay and the rock. And then when you've revealed one of these little open spaces here, then you look in there and you see what you can get. Gosh, I got a tooth. And see what you can get. And, but I mean, you're not going blind. You can look in there and you know once the dig site is open, you know what bones are in there. And it is so much fun. I mean, we were just totally absorbed in this and moving the tiles around and trying to get this or that. We played it at 2-player. I think the game would be trickier and more competitive with more people. It plays up to 5 because then there's going to be more people competing for the resources, more people competing for the bones. The cards are going to turn over even more quickly. Not that card turnover was a problem in this because there's a lot of variety in the cards. So, I mean, there was always something you wanted, either in the tool cards or the other cards or the dinosaurs. It's like we were spoiled for choice in the whole game, even at 2 players. But we had a huge amount of fun playing this. I can't wait to get it back to the table again. This past weekend was just a little too busy to play this game. It says it takes 45 minutes. I would say our first playthrough took at least an hour. But that was because we were also looking things up in the rule book, like that whole thing about, I thought we had boxed ourselves in the corner, because you start in corner spots, and I'm going like, can we jump up on those? Is that like an action, or do we have to move the tiles and then jump? And so there was a little bit of looking things up in the rule book, you know, for little things to make sure that we were doing it right. But I think the first playthrough went really smoothly, and we got everything right. I mean, it's not a terribly complex game, but it's got a lot of, you have to do a certain amount of planning, but it's just got a really good feel to it. It is very much kind of a feel-good game in that sense. You're digging up dinosaur bones. But we had a huge amount of fun with this. If you have got kids or adults that like dinosaurs and fossils, this is one. Let me see here. Yes, Fossilis is one you need to take a look at. Look at some of the videos on it. Do a little bit of research and see if it would be right for you. But because that's what I always recommend, because the stuff that I like may not be the stuff that you like. And there are people that are going to find this setup just annoying and fiddly. I don't. I just think it's neat. And there are setups that I find annoying and fiddly, but this is not one of them. So, I mean, you need to look into games. Don't just buy them because somebody had a great time playing them, because you may not. Robert and I have not liked some games that other people had a blast playing. So, different strokes for different folks, as the old saying goes. But that is not the only thing that we've been playing. This past weekend, we were able to play another one of the expansions that we have for Welcome To. We recently got the collector's edition. I had to order it from across the border in Canada because I couldn't find an American distributor. And it's got all of the expansions that have been previously released, plus some, and different plan cards for things. And anyhow, we did Doomsday. So yeah, kind of thematic with the whole dinosaurs, the end of the world thing. But no, this is like a nuclear doomsday, and some of the houses on, it's a little flip and right game if you're not familiar with it, have bunkers. We liked it, but I would say this would not be good for inexperienced players, or not good for a mixture of experienced and inexperienced players. And here's why. These bunkers, when you put numbers in there, which is what you're doing in this game, you'll put the number in the bunker, and those are the people that you on that street that you have saved from this apocalypse. Now, at the end of the game, you total up the numbers at the end of every street, and then you get optimism points in-game scoring for the people that you saved. So you could get extra points off those people, but then again, you may not, because the people who get the points off of it are whoever had the most. Whoever had the largest totals in those bunkers on this street, and on this street, and on this street. It's like there's 3 different things. It's like whoever had the most on this street, whoever had the most on that street, whoever had the most on this other street, the bottom street. And they get extra points, 8, 10, and 11. And then there's another extra bonus of 9 for whoever has the most overall. And I feel like that experienced players of Welcome to have a bit of an edge over inexperienced players, because you're going to get those extra, you're going to get more of those extra points here down total at the end. I feel like that you're going to maybe have a little bit of an edge there. And I also think player count might impact this, because, for instance, we played this at 2-player, and that meant one person got the most people in 2 of the streets, and one person got the most people in 1, and the person who got the most people in 2 of the streets got the most overall, so they also got that bonus. I'm thinking if you're playing this with more people, that those things, those extra points are going to be spread out a little bit more, maybe. Assuming that you're all more or less at equal level in terms of equal level of experience or inexperience in playing the game. But I mean, experience or inexperience with these expansions, that's probably going to be a thing with most of them. But it really kind of stood out to me because this is one of the ones where, I mean, a lot of this is kind of like people who don't like gameplay solitaire. They're not going to like this because, I mean, Welcome to is one of these things where you're flipping over the cards and each person is making an individual decision and marking their own boards, and then they score and everybody scores, and then whoever has the highest score wins. So there generally isn't any player interaction in this, and there still isn't, except that y'all are competing for the most points on each of those streets and the most points overall. So I'm thinking experienced players may have a slight edge, and player count could impact the distribution of points a bit. But we liked it. We thought it was a lot of fun, despite the rather grim theme. Oh, yeah, and the collector's edition has 9 3/4 cards with Hedwig on it. They made them for Daniel Radcliffe, and they put a few cards in the collector's edition. So one of my bunkers had 9 3/4 people in it. And I'm just kind of looking like, wow, and how does that work? But we had fun, and I like it. I definitely give a thumbs up to the Doomsday expansion, but you do need to be aware that players are to some extent competing for points in in-game scoring. And that does kind of impact your decisions and the final scoring in the end game. One thing I will say that is a big help in this particular game is the traffic cone. The traffic cone, which allows you to change a number by 0, 1, or 2 in either direction. I used that to get more people in one of the spots that had a bunker. Bumped it up from what the card number actually was. And also this here with the little duplicate mailboxes that allow you to duplicate houses, that also comes in handy, particularly with those higher number cards. I mean, you lose some points by doing that, but if you don't like fill up all of this and like do it on every turn or something like that, there's a good chance you're going to get more points than you're going to lose. So those two particular special actions seem to be a thing that really come into play on this one. And so we had great fun doing that too. I think I can put the Fossilis thing down here, but wait, there's more. And I've got so much Fossilis stuff spread out here, I have half buried some of my other stuff. Oh, there it is. Okay. I mentioned in a previous video the Marauder cards. I got the Marauder promo cards for silver. See if I can stand silver up here. I got them from the Board Game Geek shop, and these are some of the promo cards that was with the recent Kickstarter. And for the card number 12, you replace 12. Replace each face-up card with a specific value with a card from the deck, placing each face-up card on the bottom of the discard pile. That's the discard action for this. So we tried it in Bullet. And all it really did was keep us from having to deal with Bullet's original number 12 card, which we didn't like. Because we never actually got to use the face-up power because there weren't any face-up cards, or we were discarding it from our village or something else. And the same thing happened when we played it with Amulet. We had like almost no face-up cards in the whole game. We had, I think, one round that had like 1 or 2 face-up cards. It was, you never know how that game is going to go. We liked silver a lot. And Robert had a lot of werewolves in his village this time. It's sad to say. But yeah, we haven't really decided what deck we're going to use the number 12 card in regularly. We're going to try it in the other 2 decks that we have and see how that goes. But it does, even though we would just like draw it and discard it and not be able to do the action because there wasn't face-up cards or something like that, even so, it means that if you got this in here, you don't have to deal with whatever the nasty 12 card is in that deck. So it's like, I'm kind of thinking like, well, it's not doing great things here for us here, but it's not doing anything bad either. So, and finally, something very special. So I was looking for something else. I don't even remember what I was looking for because this was a couple of months ago. And in my search results, a deck of playing cards came up. Maybe it was when I was looking for playing cards for the challenge that I did in my previous video, but a deck of playing cards came up. And I looked at it and I thought, ooh, that looks nice. I mean, I don't collect playing cards, but it just, I looked at it and I thought, ah. And I kind of marked the spot and everything. And then I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So the shop I bought it from is a small shop up in the Northeast that primarily sells seaweed. But the theme of this is Eastern Forest. The Art of Play presents Eastern Forest playing cards. Text by David G. Haskell. Illustrations by Eller Litwiller. Okay, these are what the back of the cards look like. Nice, heavyweight, linen finished cards like a standard playing card deck. And the cards are beautifully illustrated. Each card has a different illustration. And each card has something written on it as well. This says, a warning to insects seeking food. Deep red on maple leaves means a well-protected tree. That's the king card. The queen card, a code breaker. The firefly femme fatale flashes to other species, luring then devouring suitors. Gee, both of those are kind of grim. Ah, the joker. Ephemeral ponds are fish-free nurseries for dozens of species, including the spotted salamander. And it just goes on like that. Here we've got Jack in the Pulpit. And it's just, the deck is lovely. It is, if you like specialty playing cards and cards that have a little bit of informative nature text on them, and they're really beautiful art cards, then you should kind of take a look for these. I do not think that they are still in print. It seems like I recall I went to the website and did not find them. The Art of Play presents Eastern Forest. And besides this title card here, there is also a card in here which tells you what is on each of the other cards. And the back side says, turn on your senses and explore the forest. Every suit is a sense. Hearts are invitations to touch and feel through your skin, textures of plants, heat of animal bodies, and springiness of wood. Diamonds awaken eyes to flash of firefly, gleam of wildflower, and patterns on leaves. Clubs open ears to the forest's many howls, songs, footfalls, and tree rustles. Spades cause us to taste and smell yummy fruit and bitter leaf. Shuffle the deck and deal a miniature ecosystem. What links the lives of the creatures in your hand? What connections, seen and unseen, do you have to these sylvan beings? Feel, look, listen, and smell. Seek out the forest. A portion of all proceeds supports education and forest conservation. So this is appropriate to spotlight because I am recording this on Earth Day. Ooh, here's the Joker. Tree of Heaven, a colonist from Asia grows lightning flash overshadowing indigenous trees. And the other Joker is European columnist, lumbricus worms devour and thin America's forest soils. Yeah, I had heard that there was some kind of invasive worm that was not helping the forest soils. It seems like I read that somewhere a long time ago, or not that long, perhaps. But I wanted to share that with you. Art of Play presents Eastern Forest playing cards because they are just a lovely, lovely thing. And I don't know if I will ever play with them, but I will take them out and draw cards and look at them and read them. This deck is not just gonna like go into a drawer and be sight unseen forever, because it just, the illustrations and the text are just so inviting that I don't know, I kind of want to pull the deck out and just look at it every now and then. And I think that over time I'm going to continue to want to pull the deck out and look at it. But anyhow, that is Eastern Forest playing cards. And that's it for now. It's been fun sitting around here just kind of talking about stuff, about things that we've played and interesting things I've just stumbled across. Sometimes when you go down the internet rabbit hole, you can find some really interesting things. Good things, good interesting things. I will see y'all next time around the table. Thanks for watching.